Are we live? No, fear not, I won't bore you with that introduction again. Don't you worry, you're safe with me this time. I'm not going to torture you. Why, hello there, everyone. Pig156, and as you can see, we're back with this game indeed. It has indeed been a hot hour since I last touched this game. And without further ado, we're back. Previously on Sonic Superstars, we successfully 100% Drift Story, and by that I mean completed the quote-unquote hard mode of the game, which in actuality did prove to be a formidable challenge, if I do say so myself. But anyways, with that questionable introduction out of the way, back to Sonic Superstars we go. We have a score to settle with this game, one more for that matter, as going to be finishing what we started. Last story, oh boy. Basically, this is it. This is where the game comes to a sudden conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are unaware of what I'm talking about, last story is essentially the final, or the true final boss of the game that can only be unlocked after you 100% complete the story mode, and by that I mean get all the Chaos Emeralds, beat Drift Story, also beat Drift Story, or the quote-unquote hard mode of Sonic Superstars. And once you successfully complete those two milestones, congratulations! You've officially earned yourself a good ticket to the final boss, and a fight that was foreshadowed not too long ago. Heck, and by that I mean just shortly before the game was released. Anyways, without further delay, please forgive my commentary, let's dive right in and finish what we started, ladies and gentlemen. Good gosh, what abomination awaits within. Here we go again. Oh no. The dragon from that robotics just so happened to have made a rough sketching off. 10 out of 10 by the way, and yeah, he's angry alright. Don't worry, I'll explain the context in one moment. Please don't kill me. Oh boy, he's furious alright, and we're straight up just thrown into here. I do certainly appreciate the context given to this fight. We just suddenly blew up Egg Fortress, and yeah, now we're here. That explains a lot. The other islands have been just straight up deleted, and we can't access them, and the only thing standing between the dragon and us is the first two worlds and its own egg. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has really come to this, so without further ado, and I'll explain lore temporarily, don't you worry, here goes nothing. Let's save the realm from total chaos and destruction, shall we? I mean, this has only happened so many times. This is no different once more, ladies and gentlemen, and just like that, the Black Dragon, that's the dragon's name, fun fact, shows himself, and yeah, here we are, just straight up thrown into this as flying supersonic. Context is, as always, very much appreciated. I will admit, if there's the one thing I mostly agree with a lot of fans about this game, is that this story could use a much better explanation. It's, to be fair, the final boss just straight up came out of nowhere, if you know what I mean. Anyways, hey, good old boy Knuckles, good to see you around, thank you. I appreciate the additional life support you're giving me, thank you very much. Get that out of the way, final boss. It's a pretty straightforward final boss fight if you ask me, and I'm gonna get to explaining it right now, don't you worry, that's why I'm here. Basically, half the fight is just essentially playing my favorite game of all time, the Patient game, since this fight is, for the most part, a bit slow, with cycles and all that stuff, if you know what I mean. He has a variety of attacks, and they're pretty self-explanatory. The meteor attack, really, for that attack, you just want to dodge all the red meteors and really just hit the blue one, counterattacking the attack by just hitting the blue meteors back towards them. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Easier done than said. Easier done than said, indeed. This is Paper Mario the 1,000-Year Door now. But anyways, that's only one attack, but however, when he does do the side-scoring, the black hole attack, which we briefly saw earlier, you guessed it, again, pretty self-explanatory. One, to avoid getting sucked into the black holes. If you do get sucked into the black holes, your only way out is to just tackle. And by that I mean just use the one move Supersonic has apart from just dashing straight forward, in the invincible form he is. I personally don't recommend you use tackle for this fight, since for the most part it is just really gonna drain all the more all the more rings you collect along your way. But if you do get caught in a black hole, it is really the only way you're going to get out of that situation. Since if you do get caught in a black hole either way, it's going to drain your rings. That's the longer you stay in there, and you definitely don't want to pass up an opportunity to get a free hit on the final boss, so you might as well make the most out of it. Apart from that, however, I recommend when it comes to that attack in particular, to just always be patient, and if you know what I mean. He'll occasionally fire black holes in the direction you currently are in every 1 to 2 seconds or so. So I personally recommend staying in your current lane for about a second, and then immediately changing lanes before he, counterattacks your threat. If you do successfully end up dodging all his black holes, you'll eventually reach him. And yep, timing couldn't be better as we're just straight up diving into this. Once you do reach him, you want to hit his chest. Whatever you do in all your power, ensure you do not target his head. If you target his head and if you hit his head, you'll do nothing and he'll just get pushed back, and you might even lose rings in the process, which you definitely don't want to happen. So target the chest. You definitely want to be sure to do that if you want to get a good chance to fight this guy, or to even damage him. So do take notes. But anyways, looping. So dealing with relatively self-explanatory thing, stuff right here. And for the most part, for this fight, another essential factor I recommend you put into action is to always stay in motion at all costs. The more you stay in motion, essentially, the better, since you're a lot more likely to grab rings just relentlessly floating in the air until the end of time. And you may even have a better chance of even running into or encountering Sonic's allies or friends. Which, speaking of the allies, there are actually 3 of them you can encounter. You can either encounter Knuckles or Tails, which we just encountered, or you can encounter Amy. There she is. In my opinion, Amy's the best one you can encounter because she gives you the most rings. When they appear, it's self-explanatory stuff again. Just collect all the rings they give you, obviously. Just like that is Phase 1. Boy, time really does fly when you're having fun, or when you're commentating, does it now? Just like reality. And yeah, he's in Rachel, right? It's definitely striking a somewhat similar resemblance to Trip, if you know what I mean. I mean, to be fair, they are the same kind. They're both sun gazer lizards. Well, this one is essentially a dragon, but if you know what I mean. Sun gazer dragon, to put it that way. I forgot the actual term used to describe them. Please don't kill me in the comment section. I'm doing my best here. Don't kill me. But anyways, it's just as self-explanatory as Phase 1, only this time he has a lot more attacks. And for the most part, his attacks also do end up changing slightly, but they're pretty self-explanatory. When it comes to this phase alone, I recommend you always hold right at all costs, regardless of what happens. Just taking the advice I told you earlier about just moving up or down every 1 to 2 seconds to avoid the fireballs and the black holes, and you'll be able to hit his chest without any problem. As for this, for Phase 2, that he does have a variety of new attacks as previously mentioned, one of which being the hand attack. Which, they're just like that, the name precedes. It's just straight up and self-explanatory attack. You just want to make sure you don't get slapped out of thin air, obviously. Again, you won't take all... The dragon can't directly damage you. He can only really personally annoy you and prevent you from collecting any more rings. But either way, you want to avoid getting hit at all costs, especially that hand attack. As usually, while he's doing that, allies are a lot more likely to spawn, since, as you all probably could have imagined, yes, they have a timer that tells, or a corresponding value which tells them to spawn at a specific time, or frame in more advanced terms. But anyways, going back to the allies for another good minute or so. As for Tails and Knuckles, they're just going to give you rings, so you might as well just do what I previously told you about just just straight up just going in one direction, just letting gravity pull the rings towards you from there. That way you could just, again, spawn more rings and therefore gain additional time to remain in your super form. Which is things you definitely want to take into consideration. And by time, I don't mean the time limit, I meant the ring counter. Don't worry about it. Speaking of which, don't worry about the time in this fight. The time's just there to scare you. don't believe there's an actual time limit to this fight. But for speedrunners out there, take notes. And that is another free hit, ladies and gentlemen. Well, not exactly a free hit, but if you know what I mean. This fight is pretty easy, easier than it looks. Sure, it might take a bit of while getting used to the supersonic physics, but it is a fun one. I will say that. I will tell you that. Anyways, let me just check by my notes here. I believe we almost covered everything. Just a matter of just playing patient games straight up. If allies do spawn, go out of your way to get rings. Don't worry about getting pushed around. You're better off just regaining HP than just trying to protect your HP, your core recurring status. But anyways, he's in rage already, and as for a decent amount of hits to the chest and to his very own hands or so, just like that, he's enraged, alright? One my final attack is if this were Sonic Frontier, but I didn't even bother playing. They never really caught my attention, my dearest apologies for those people who wanted me to upload. But either way, I'm happy to be here as always. The meteor attack is also, the dragon fight is a very self-explanatory fight. For the meteors, it's just timing and just hitting the button at the corresponding time, and I just missed my timing right there. Oh, Carmen Terra really is proving to be a formidable foe, isn't it? Oh boy. When you do get to this final phase, though, you want to make sure you have rings. If you don't have rings, well, let's just say you're screwed. And boy, is the game gonna feel generous. What did I tell you? The moment I get the timing, the game just says no. Pretty rewarding fight, am I right? Definitely want to be sure not to do that, and yeah, this fight can be pretty dang buggy at times, so you want to make sure that ring counter remains as high up as possible. Which is why, I repeat, you want to stay in motion and focus at all times. But when you're a YouTuber like me, you're essentially just multitasking between just both knowing what to say when it comes to commentating and, well, you know, avoiding enemy attacks. Anyways, we're good. We're fine, obviously. Nothing to sweat. At this point, the only real obstacle is just the game. What did I tell you? That's another reason why you want to stay in motions, is if you just stay in one spot by the time the allies actually spawn in according to your current position, near you and near the dragon, just might as well just go back to the black. Might as well just attack you with black holes, and in doing so, he's just gonna make you change dimension, and you definitely don't want to be doing that or dealing with that attack when you're in the middle of just, you know, regaining HP. No big deal. No, don't worry. It's all good, obviously. Anyways. It's a matter of playing the pacing game as we fight off one of Trip's kind, and yeah, they are related. What a plot twist, am I right? I'll explain Sonic lore in a sec. Please don't kill me in the comment section. Anyways, the reason as to why I'm not going to bother explaining it to you now is because it's really not the time to do so. But I suppose the timing to mess up really couldn't be better. I proved my point, and I'm glad I did die when I did. Precision, am I right? Just straight up on point today, if I do say so myself, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, back to the element that is patience, and while the dragon just plays with animations in the background, well made, I will admit. This fight could have been a bit faster though. And I missed the meteors. Excellent. It's all good. Conveniently, another one spawned in. Work smarter, not harder, ladies and gentlemen. Just like that. Anyways. Next attack, please and thank you, if he ever decides to unleash it. Just like that, and he's going on the offense again, as usual. Not much of a big deal here. We're technically just the only defenders left of the realm to basically prevent the dragon from, you know, just straight up conquering or destroying the world. was pretty much a similar plot to Mario Wonder in terms of world domination. And we'll get into the lore in a sec, don't you worry, I'm just waiting for credits, that way I have a reasonable excuse to just not say something, well, when I do end up running out of commentary when the credits roll, and during staff roll at least. Anyways, there he is, he's enraged, alright. Nice and easy, ladies and gentlemen. Nice and easy indeed. Nothing to worry about whatsoever. Let's see, stay here. And yeah, music does indeed gets all the more dramatic. And I did the complete opposite as to what I previously said about getting rings. But in the end, it somewhat paid off. I repeat, if you like the respective gravity pull just pull rings towards you, the more you essentially do catch will lead to just Sonic just spawning more rings for himself, which means more life support, obviously, and that's something you definitely want to take into consideration when you're one step closer to death. Every second that passes, you just essentially get closer to death. And hey, wouldn't you know, it's Trip and Amy. Timing couldn't be better, ladies and gentlemen. Timing couldn't be better indeed. And 100 rings! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am proud to announce that is equivalent to 1 life. We really have humiliated the dragon today, haven't we? Everyone gets their opportunities, don't they? Inside are, as always, adorable. And don't worry, we're skipping this. The animations are pretty lengthy. And as the sky darn things all the more as the dragon gets more and more enraged, as usual. Anyway, for the hand attack, I personally recommend just in your head, just getting a clear picture of where the hand's going to be and where the hand's going to stop charging towards you, and then just waiting for it to come to a stop and hitting it. It's better than just waiting to just tackle it. Trust me. On paper, tackle seems like a good offensive and an alternative move to catch up with the dragon himself, but trust me, the minute you unleash the move, you're gonna regret using it. Just the amount of rings it uses up is just not worth. It's just not worth using. Unless you're caught in black holes, of course, which is something you don't have to worry about Phase 2. In my opinion, Phase 2 is a whole lot easier than Phase 1. Certainly a lot more fast-paced, and for that reason I also like it a lot more than Phase 1. Anyways, bring you to both hands. What did you know? Just like that, good old boy Knuckles himself to the rescue. Thank you very much. Well, just be on my way. Fun fact, you can actually dodge the... I don't know how to describe this attack in question, but if you do end up going far enough to reach its boundaries, you can essentially just dodge it instead of just going to the middle. If you feel like going out of your way to get more rings, it will pay off. Trust me. Don't ask how I know. I have explained it enough times, and I will assault you no more with the wrath that is looping commentary. Fear not. Anyways. Patience. Nice. Really want to try your best to stay in motion, just like that, and all the attacks do is just bump you. The dragon's attacks, if anything, they're just there to annoy you. And just to disturb you from or preventing you from grabbing any more rings, obviously. Just tempting you all the more to use Supersonic's, in my opinion, Supersonic's worst move. Anyways, to this attack. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, patience indeed. The only time the quote-unquote tackle attack really does come in handy is, you guessed it, the meteors, which is why you want to have a good amount of them, since by the time you get to the final hit, there aren't any more rings, so you better make it count. But just like that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is it. Victory, fanfare indeed, as the dragon takes one more punch to the chest and we send them flying off. Goodbye, good sir. You will certainly not be missed as you're banished once more, or sealed. as the game depicts it. As always, Trip the Sun Gazer lizard to the rescue as she seals the dragon back in its egg and saves the realm and the island, of course. The good ending, ladies and gentlemen, whoopee-doo indeed. The context of the game provides is, as always, very much appreciated, and just like that, Robotnik's rough sketch of the dragon just falls back to the ground and to be forgotten once more, ladies and gentlemen, and that is Sonic Superstars. We essentially 100% the game right off the bat. We've really come a long way, haven't we? We just essentially just stopped uploading this game since Mario Wonder just came out. But hey, we're back. Good gosh, I had no idea what I was just trying to say, nor the way I was trying to put the information, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is Sonic Superstars. And don't you worry, as promised, I'll dive into lore right about now. Sickly, the Black Dragon, fun fact, and this really doesn't come much of a surprise if you pay close attention to, his appearance. He does resemble Trip in his own way with his, tail, his chains, and, well, his armor, too. And the reason as to why that is because they're both of the same kind, and, well, the Black Dragon was essentially just a Sun Gazer lizard at one point, and that turned against all the other Sun Gazer lizards that once inhabited the North Star Islands, and, just powered up without, or assumed dragon form, in other words, without the need of the Chaos Emeralds, which was basically a requirement for, I suppose, every other Sun Gazer lizard, including, but not limited to, Trip, obviously, at some point. But however, unfortunately for the Black Dragon himself, he was eventually still at some point, as those drawings from Mac Knuckles and Golden Capital revealed. If you paid close attention, with of course the use of the Chaos Emeralds, we're able to seal him in an egg for a good while. However, the dragon would, as always, and as all mythical creatures, return to yet again just wreak havoc once more, which leads us straight up into the event of Sonic Superstars, where Trip was basically one of the last, or if not perhaps the last Sun Gazer lizard left inhabiting or guarding North Star Islands, or essentially protecting it as if she were Knuckles. Now that I think about it, they are pretty similar in their own way. But then that's where Knack the Weasel, or Fang the Hunter, however you want to call him, and Dr. Robotnik come into play, as Dr. Robotnik, as I mentioned, constantly throughout my many playthroughs, basically came across North Star Islands, and at some point just sent Knack to investigate the islands, and therefore just, colonize it as he did with every other island before it. By that I mean South Island, West Side Island, and, of course, Angel or Floating Island, however you want to call it. And in doing so, at one point, Knack even eventually encountered Trip, and will essentially, hired her, and by that I mean forced her to work for both him and Robotnik, since, well, essentially Trip was just there to protect the jumbo-sized flickies, that Knack was at the time threatening. However, clumsiness got in the way as if she were Jar Jar Binks straight up, and things didn't really end well. However, at some point, Trip did eventually just straight up, quote unquote, just become one of the main antagonists, since he was lonely. Fun fact. We're just really getting into just dark matter from Kirby straight up, just going as far as all this, just because he was lonely. But luckily for Trip, she would actually make quote unquote real friends once Amy essentially rescued her from her own trap that she had initially set up for Sonic. Fun fact. Which basically leads to the conclusion as to why she, in the end, ended up joining Sonic and his friends in the first place, since they were actually friends to her, rather than just people that were just using her for her own benefit. Looking at you, Robotnik, and just like that, as if Trip's backstory couldn't be any more related to Knuckles. But it just goes back, it just really goes as far to show how Sega is just constantly living in the shadow of Sonic 3 and Knuckles and just really trying their best to replicate it. And I will say, they really came really close into doing so with this game, and they did a bang-up job in doing so. A solid game this is indeed, and I recommend picking it up whenever you can. I'll admit the boss fights could definitely use some modifications alongside most of the animations at least present within the game, but besides that, it's a pretty solid game indeed. A formidable challenge, you indeed. I guess I could even call it a quote-unquote formidable challenge. The game is, still, in my opinion, pretty easy, but I guess the full Drift story did have a few surprises in store, so it could essentially go both ways depending on the angle you, of course, decide to look at things from. And I know I presented this information in a very disorganized manner, but going back to Drift's story for another quick millisecond, from there, after helping Robotnik and Knack essentially capture every inhabitant of North Starlands and eventually just leading into one of the catacombs of her old kind, and eventually come to learn about the Black Dragon's existence and capture, Robotnik, sketch the beautifully drawn out visual of him on a piece of paper, and essentially once he captures every other jumbo-sized Splicky and the Ellen to power up his Batnik army, he therefore tasks Knack with awakening the Dragon Pout. However, given how, as the introduction depicted, Trip was actually trying to prevent this happening, since Chaos would really just straight up unleash itself once more throughout Mobius, the planet Sonic's home planet, to put it like that. Good gosh, my grammar. But in the end, as always, she was cast aside, since Knack was only using her and was really just taking the credit for himself straight up. Really gotta feel bad for Trip, how she really just wanted friends. However, at some point with all her struggles, after reuniting with Knack after Amy rescued her from the Lagoon Stone, or the water level in the game, Knack pushes her aside one final time, and that's essentially the last straw. Essentially the last straw for Trip, as she reveals her true identity and therefore joins forces with Sonic and his friends, obviously, to prevent Robotnik from just straight up unleashing chaos and conquering the island, to use the Black Dragon to become power up an invincible army of Batniks and conquer the world. Deep lore, I know. Strip, I suppose, as previously mentioned, and as I'll say it again for the sake of elaboration and for clarification, basically we're just straight up the guardian of this island, similar to the likes of Knuckles and with Angel Island and the Master Emerald, only this time he was guarding an actual being. And you really get all that from limited context. Observation, ladies and gentlemen, observation indeed. But anyways, returning back to lore for another second, after joining forces with Sonic and friends, Trip would of course go on to tackle her own story, as evident in Trip's story, the quote-unquote hard mode of this game, to settle her score with Knack and to teach Robotnik and Knack a good lesson or two to essentially just kick them off the island straight up and preventing them from unleashing the Black Dragon. Luckily, Sonic and friends supposedly at some point did get the chance to prevent Robotnik from even finding or making contact with the Black Dragon by just destroying Robotnik's newly established orbital station, the Egg Fortress, and just turning into it straight up a junk pile. Robotnik even went as far as just trying to reverse time to just beat, in the last stage effort to beat Sonic, though unfortunately both him and Knack in the end were defeated by Trip and Sonic, so things either way didn't end well. However, at some point, due to Robotnik's, I suppose, his influence on the island, the Black Dragon was at some point awakened. It would have been nice if the game would have provided a bit more context, but lore, ladies and gentlemen, just video game logic is straight up coming out of nowhere. It goes deep, I know. Just in case you thought the Kirby lore was long, please don't kill me in the comment section. Oh boy. Going up to give you a temporary break from the Sonic lore, from Sonic Superstars lore. I may be the only one who's probably gonna. Actually, yeah, that's a lie. I have no idea what I'm saying. Forgive my commentary. It's just clearly the quality content you subscribe for. But to touch on the credits minigame for a sec, I'd say the Supersonic one is, in my opinion, my favorite one out of all of them. just something about it. It's entertaining its own way, and hey, you're at least actually guaranteed to get all the rings if you put enough effort into it. After all, as Sonic himself states, if you try, you can do anything, ladies and gentlemen, so that is another life lesson taken into good consideration. To straight up see the progression as that an individual can just live up to by putting their mind into things. Heck, even Trip went through that same transition by just essentially being a shy Sungazer lizard who just wanted friends to just being a hero, the true hero of Sonic Superstars, straight up. And she was apparently the only one who could even seal the Black Dragon back in its egg. But there you have it. With Lord of the Way, timing couldn't be any better as the credits come to another conclusion and we count away our gold. Now that's what I call a happy ending, ladies and gentlemen. Consumerism. Good gosh, or capitalism, I meant to say. What does this game turn into? But hey, good ending, ladies and gentlemen, and just like that, Sega indeed. What does the game have to say for itself? Oh boy. Just straight up got sent back to the title screen for another good minute or so. Sonic Superstars indeed. They'll also point out how after you beat Trip's story, she gets added to the title screen. Cute details, they're always very much appreciated to see. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, with that context-like ending, that is Sonic Superstars, the true final boss, or the last story as the game puts it together. Boy oh boy, has this been quite a wild roller coaster ride, if I do say so myself, from this main story mode to the quote-unquote hard mode and to the conclusion of the game straight up. I do apologize for my for not giving you an exact time, as to when this video was meant to drop out. But nevertheless, I'm glad I was still able to make this upload and to put a conclusion to my Sonic Superstars playthrough. This game was one of a kind, and for old and retro Sonic fans like me, this was the kind of game we were waiting to play for just as long as Sonic and Knuckles came out, or since Sonic and Knuckles came out, to put it simply. But nevertheless, I was happy I could yet again touch this game, and as always, barrage you and torture you all with lore. I apologize if I abused you too much, or if this got too confusing for you at some point. But nevertheless, I'm glad I could yet again provide you with another guide on how to beat video games, ladies and gentlemen. It's what I temporarily do for a living at the time of recording. But with that questionable conclusion out of the way, my notes are just about checked out, and this is the part of the video where I thank you all so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. It has truly been an honor and a good pleasure of mine to provide you all with this kind of content, both regarding Sonic Superstars and Mario Brothers Wonder. Since I highly hope you enjoyed my playthroughs of these two respective games and the Sonic Superstars, of course. And as always, I wish you all a fantastic day, ladies and gentlemen. Until Mario RPG, I suppose, or when I'm actually, my next live stream upload, to put it simply. But with that out of the way, thanks so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, or until Mario RPG. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one, and take care.